I want to hear cannons. Three-step drop, throws toward the end zone. Caught ball, touchdown Tampa Bay. Mike Evans reaches up with one hand and grabs it in. Here they go again. Tempo mode, dropping to throw. Winston out again, throws to the left. It's intercepted into the 35. Outside the numbers to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 25, to the 20, to the 15-10. Mike Edwards, touchdown Tampa Bay. That's the dagger, my friend.
This is the Big Nasty. Yeah, Big Nasty Hall of Fame Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, baby.
This is Mike Allstott, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you're listening to the Cannon Fire Podcast.
Cannon Fire Podcast, brother. You ain't listening, and you're missing out. Woo!
And there the cannons go. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast following Thursday Night Football Week 8. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers fall to 3-5 following just another uninspired performance by this team. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to open this podcast the way the Bucs are playing. You see the title of the show. With that being said, the Bucs are 3-5. I don't even remember the final score of tonight's game. You know, we kind of touched on this. And I love this quote so much. It comes from one of the best friends of the show, Trevor Sikkema. He said this all the way back in 2017, and it rings more true now than ever. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are bad until they are not. The Bucs had a chance tonight to go into this game 3-4 and prove that they could learn from their mistakes, because not only did they get one chance against one of the worst teams in the NFL, they had back-to-back chances against some of the worst teams in the NFL to go out there and execute, and they could not do that. Now, throughout this first half, I was bamboozled. It was 10-3 at half. I mean, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, they were not running the ball in that first half, and that's because they waited until the second half to execute their offensive game plan, and they did it to perfection. They manhandled Tampa Bay all over that second half. They won the time of possession battle. I'll be surprised if they didn't hold the ball for 40 goddamn minutes in that game. I mean, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, as always, Rhett Matthew. Joined alongside me, my good buddy and co-host from BucsNation.com, Evan Wanish. How you feeling after that?
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, we didn't do a specific game preview. But if we would have, the score I had in mind and I posted on the page earlier today was 28-17 Ravens. And I was almost there. It was 27-16. It just, this game sort of went the way I thought, except for the start. The start surprised me a little bit. Obviously, that's
the most juice I have seen on both sides of the ball all season. I mean, since week 2, when Mike Evans got ejected, we have not seen the offense start the way that they did. Bucs got a first quarter touchdown for the first time this entire season. They open it up with back-to-back scoring drives. I know it wasn't perfect, and I know they stalled out in the second quarter. Execution errors are to blame, and we'll get much deeper into that. But, was I wrong for having hope that maybe this was the week the team would figure it out? Because holy shit, it looked like in that first quarter, that's the most complimentary football we have seen from this team all year long. 3 points for Baltimore in the first half. I mean, what more can you ask for? Especially after the muffed punt from Jalen Darden, basically spotting them a touchdown. It was D. Delaney. It was the gunner. It was a great block. I know it was just a special teams mishap, but this team is playing with my emotions because it felt like they were getting there. And then it was just another signature collapse from this Todd Bowles Bucs team.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately it's becoming a theme, really for the entire year. And I think the start that they had was good, and it's not that they went away from it. I don't think they absolutely went away from it. It's just Brady probably played his worst game of the year. Tonight, whatever you want to call it. He probably played his worst game of the year. Missed some throws he normally doesn't. Had missed Kyle Rudolph. I mean, even Mike Evans in the back of the end zone, which they scored on that drive. They scored on that drive, but Mike Evans was wide open in the back of the end zone. He tried to sort of rainbow it over to him.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm really emotional.
You're good.
We're trying to get all these takes out here and trying to stay reasonable. But, you talk about Mike Evans, Tom Brady and Mike Evans tonight. This is probably the worst their connection has looked since he got to Tampa. I mean, it was all types of miscommunication. I know Mike had that one pass down the sideline, hit him right in the chest. He couldn't bring it in. And then Brady was chewing him out for being behind on another route where they miscommunicated down the field. I mean, there was just a lot of Mike Evans looking lost out there and running the wrong route and Brady having to correct him. And I mean, a lot of guys in that second half, we saw the offense stall out like they always do. And I know I just talked about the defense in the first half of the game, only allowing 3 points. It's a 10-3 ball game. I know this run defense is the worst in NFL history right now because it's another week in a row that they have given up 150 plus yards on the ground. But it's like, you need an offense that can score points. You need an offense that can maintain drives. You need an offense that can stay on the field for longer than a minute and 5 seconds when you need to march down the fucking field and get a touchdown. It is just pathetic at this point. It is incredibly bad. Ooh, buddy, it is bad.
And, well, I mean, good thing is they have Aaron Donald next week. So,
oh, yeah, great. Well, I mean, what did you... Okay, so let's talk about some of the changes the Bucs had coming into this one. One of them was Nick Leverett making the official start, his first start at left guard. Luke Gedeke not able to play due to injury. I thought Nick Leverett was a good part of why this offense looked good on those first 2 drives. It felt like the Bucs run game was working in those short yardage situations where it usually didn't, right? And I mean, I know later on in the game, just like the rest of the offense, it stalled out, but I can't get over how good they looked at the start of this game. I know it wasn't perfect. I know you want 2 touchdowns back to back, but again, I've just been fooled another week in a row for hoping this team could turn it around.
Yeah, it's I thought so. The defense was doing their job. The first half, the second half, but the first half, the defense was really doing their job, and they just, whether they got tired or not, whatever, it's not acceptable to be gashed through the ground like that. And but I mean, this defense gave the offense 4 drives with the lead. The Bucs had the lead with the offense, and they could have pushed it to a 2-score lead. I don't know why Baltimore's game plan was what it was. I don't know why they came out throwing the ball all over the lot. I don't understand. Even I knew, that's what everybody was like, oh yeah, you're expecting Lamar Jackson to come out and just run. I don't know why they didn't. I don't know why they decided to come out with a game plan they did. It clearly wasn't working. And this defense gave the offense the ball with the lead 4 times, and the Bucs had a chance to make the Ravens continue to pass the ball by going up 2 scores. But no, it stayed 1 score, and right when it stayed 1 score, 10-3, and the Bucs went 3 and out on offense to start the second half, I was like, yeah, this was done. That was not gonna.
I felt like that was the one chance that this offense really had to try and sustain any type of momentum. I mean, a chance with the ball to end. I mean, honestly, the Bucs had the ball in the second quarter with 5 minutes left to go, 5.5 minutes left to go, something like that. I mean, realistically, I know this run game isn't built to do what Baltimore was able to do, but the Bucs had every opportunity to hang on to the ball as long as they needed to, and just try and get something, right? You know that you can get the ball back to start the second half. Try and double up. Just try it. You go 3 and out when you need it right there. And then you really don't do very much with it to start the second half either. We get a $2 super chat from our buddy Mr. Bucks Nation. Here is the $1 million question. Everyone's going to be talking about it.
I want to talk about this in a different segment.
Oh, okay. All right.
That opens up a whole can of beans. So.
We'll get to it, James, once we finish talking about the offense from tonight. But yeah, let me get some more thoughts from you tonight, because I want to go over the stats. I want to go over the box score, but it's another week in a row, just like last week's show, where it's like, what's the point? Who cares that Mike Evans had over 100 yards? Who cares that Chris Godwin had the most targets he's had all season? Julio Jones had his first touchdown in a Bucs uniform. Who gives a shit? Who cares? I mean,
wow. The funny thing was that 2-point conversion call. Just great
that was
stuff.
Just terrible.
I
mean,
stuff.
That was so bad. And listen, I know we talked about the offense stalling out tonight. Execution errors were just I mean, the Bucs killed themselves tonight. Multiple touchdowns taken off of the board. The Cade Otton touchdown, the the holding on Donovan Smith that takes that one off of the board. And then there's that pass to Julio Jones that puts them inside the 5-yard line. Another penalty sets them back to where instead of going for it on 4th down, they got to settle for 3 points, which puts them back even further because they were already playing to get the 2-point conversion, to make it a 3-point game, to possibly go out there and get the onside kick. You know what I mean? It's kind of like they're playing to win the game, but they don't really have a chance kind of deal. And it's just sad. It's awful football. And here we are. Like, this is the brand of the Bucs this year. We talk about every single year right around this time. We talk about building an identity for your football team. And the identity of this Bucs team in 2022 is they are fucking garbage.
That might be the quote.
I mean, this is the worst complimentary football of all time. They are playing complimentary football in the worst fashion. You have a defense that gets gashed every single week into giving up 200 rushing yards because they are on the field for 70% of the game, because you have an offense that cannot sustain drives and they cannot score points. And unfortunately, for the 4th week in a row, right when we could really use it, they don't force a turnover either. So it is now a straight month that this Buccaneers defense has not forced a takeaway. And it honestly felt like even in the second half, I know it came down to the wire, but a takeaway could have very well been the difference in this game. I mean, it could have been.
Yeah, but I don't know. What's the offense going to do with it?
I get what you mean. It's just, it's another opportunity for this offense to go out there and give us a 3 and out. Listen, we do these instant reaction shows so we can get all the emotions out of the way. So I apologize if you're listening and it is a little jarring. I normally don't cuss this much on the show, but I have reached my limit. I have reached the point where I don't have any more positive hope that this team is going to show me something next week against the Rams. Yeah, they got what do they have? A 12-day break, 13-day break before they got to go out there and do it again.
10. Yeah,
so who cares? Who cares? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Let's talk about the offense some more, and then we'll get to James' question. I keep cutting you off. I'm just trying to make sure I throw all my takes out there.
I would like to be able to talk.
Yeah, hey, go ahead, buddy. I will listen. I'll mute myself. It's all yours.
You've been coming up with good quotes,
Coach Wanish. The floor is yours.
If you keep coming up with these quotes, I might have to just sit back and relax. But I know it just. The title of the show says it all, right? I don't really need to say too much about that. It's just, I would, well, for one, we'll talk about the changes that they need to make and stuff, but schematically, obviously, without watching the tape, I don't know exactly, Leonard Fournette, to me, I think Rachaad White showed you enough that he should be the running back 1 moving forward. It looked like Tom Brady and Mike Evans hadn't played a single snap together, at all. It was like if Tom Brady was throwing to me and just, I just was somebody who was just plucked in there and say, hey, go throw. It seemed, these guys have been playing together for 3 years now. These communications on where they should be, and they've been playing together in the same offensive scheme and the same plays for 3 years now. There should be no issues on where a quarterback's going to throw it and where the receiver's going to be. Not with those two, and there has been. So that's on both of them. That's on both guys. Mike Evans on 2nd and 2 drops a ball, deep ball. That's a tough catch, but you gotta make the catch. It was either 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 2, but all of a sudden he has a case of the dropsies now, and it's just everything on this offense is sort of rearing its ugly head, and it's bad. And they're looking. I said it last week, they're looking down the barrel at 3-6 right now with the Rams coming to town, because right now, could the break help? Sure. But am I confident? Why should I be confident that they're going to have any answers 10 days from now that they haven't had yet 8 weeks in the season?
And let's not forget, this isn't just the LA Rams, who are also in a slump right now. Super Bowl 56 champs. They are feeling the Super Bowl hangover. But the fact of the matter is, even before they won the Super Bowl title, they have been a bad matchup for Tampa Bay.
They've owned
Sean McVay coaches fucking circles around Todd Bowles and this coaching staff. And yeah, it's probably going to be another demoralizing game after this 10-day break. And then Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, and the Seahawks, that's just good coaching. That's another game where even though the Bucs have the talent to, run it up by 30 points.
The Seahawks are 4-2.
Yeah, and you said they were cooked after week 1. I mean, it's one of those things where good coaching is going to take you far. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of aspects. We talk about execution errors, but there's just so much about this Bucs team that's like, it's just incredible what a downfall this has been. I mean, realistically, dude, I had them losing 5 games all year. My season prediction was 12-5. Do you remember when we fucking picked the Bucs to go 12-5 and 11-6, and everyone was like, "You guys are crazy."
Crazy in a bad way, though. Crazy like they're going like 14-3. Yeah.
How do you think those people feel right now? I mean, I'm pissed, and I know that I'm going to be watching Bucs football when Tom Brady is not here. But how do you think all the 12-year-old Brady fanboys feel right now to see their boy just going out like this? You are a 12-year-old Brady fanboy. How do you feel seeing your boy come out of retirement to just deal with this shit? I mean, this is bad.
Well, to be fair to me, though, I was there before Brady, so I'm more.
No, yeah. No. Let's not get it twisted. Evan is a real one. People seem to forget that. We've been doing this show since 2016. We've been around the block. We've seen much worse records than 3-5 on this podcast.
Yes. However, we haven't seen teams with this much talent be 3-5. And I think that's the frustrating thing. I had in the season prediction show, I had them losing this game. I had them losing this ball game, but I had them winning the previous 2. If you win the previous 2, tonight's doesn't really matter. So the thing is, I just don't know where you can go from here because now you're facing, and I also had the Seahawks being one of the worst teams in the NFL. I had that being one of the games that, okay, you could have won. And the thing is that the Seahawks have exceeded expectations mightily. So it wouldn't shock me if you lost to Seattle. Like, I don't know. Like, you're the better team, but like, who knows? Were you the better team than Pittsburgh? Probably. Were you the better team than Carolina? On paper, yeah, you're better than both those guys. But like, doesn't matter. Like, the results are the results. So, like I said, I had them losing this game, but like, yeah, I had them, 11-6, and it's looking like we were way, way too optimistic because I know a lot of things haven't gone in their favor, but they also just they have to be the most. I mean, not the Packers, not anyway. They have to be the most disappointing team in the NFL. I mean, they have to be because the Packers got rid of their best offensive player. Like, the Packers got rid of Devontae Adams in the offseason. There was expected to be some sort of drop-off. Maybe not to this extent, but there was expected to be some sort of drop-off. Everybody thought the Bucs were going to be legit Super Bowl contenders. And right now, they're not even a playoff team. Like, they're not even playing like a playoff team. They will be out of the playoffs after Sunday because the winner of the Falcons and Panthers game has sole possession of the NFC South. So right now they're still in a playoff spot, but Sunday night they will not be in a playoff spot anymore. They'll be, they'll be close to the top 15 in the draft if they keep playing like this.
Somebody had a great quote, and I don't remember who. I remember reading
trying to
it.
pat yourself on the back, are you?
Well,
Somebody had a great quote about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had a $2 super chat from James. And it was said, Rhett, you gotta chill out, man. I don't know. I kind of,
Hey, Brandon Michael with the $2 super chat says the opposite. He says, "Give him hell, Rhett. Love you guys."
It is like that is polar opposite.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep on going. But somebody had a great quote, and the way that they had put it is that this Bucs team, I mean, 100% at this point, I think they came into the year cocky. I do. I think they are victims of their own success because, to a certain degree, coming into the season, every single week, the top of the hour, they're talking about Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it is recent success with this team. You won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Who cares that you won a Super Bowl tonight? Nobody. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit when you're 3-5. But they are still off of that feeling. And everybody in that locker room still feels like they're as good of a team as they were in 2020, 2021. And it is biting them in the ass. I hate to say it, but Devin White, this was like his worst game ever tonight. He got fucking embarrassed. And he has been talking the most out of anyone in that locker room all season long.
There was a play. It was like 2nd and 4. The Ravens picked up a first down tonight, and then he was celebrating afterwards.
I know. Yeah, he made the tackle. It was a gang tackle. They got there, pushed him out of bounds, and he got up and he's talking his trash. It's like, come on, dude. So
Like like I said, like I told him last week, like he got to shut up and he's just got to work. Like he is like I've said it for a while. He's the most overrated player on the Bucks. I think he's probably one of the most overrated players in the entire NFL now. Like he sucks.
well,
Like, that
it's
dude
gonna
is
be
terrible.
it's gonna be another week of film breakdowns on Twitter. Having Baldy NFL sit there and talk about here's how the Buccaneers defense broke down yet again this week. Another terrible thing to put on film. And it's incredible. I know we haven't really honed in on either side of the football so far tonight because what's the point? They both were bad. But let me ask you this question, and then we're going to get into James' Super Chat question. But I got one more question before. So there's been a lot of big trades happening in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey gets dealt for some draft picks over to San Francisco. A couple of other teams getting active. Robert Quinn just landed in Philly. I mean, that's a guy who had damn near 20 sacks last season, going to the only undefeated team left. So the fact that the 6-0 Eagles don't feel fulfilled with what they can bring to the table shows that they are going to be buyers before the deadline. With the trade deadline coming up Tuesday, I believe, should the Bucks be looking to bring in some pieces or maybe shed some weight? Are the Bucks going to be active? Because if you want me honest, I don't think they're going to do shit. I seriously, I feel like the Buccaneers are so confident with this roster that they still think that they have. Todd Bowles says every single week, we have our guys, we like them, we want to continue to use them, and those guys aren't getting it done. So do you think the Bucks could become, whether it is a seller or a buyer, could they be active before the deadline?
Honestly, no. Like even if their record was switched, like if they were 5-3, I don't really think like that's just not. If you look at Jason Light's history, that's just not really how he does things.
Well, it's also like too. I mean, part of what's so frustrating about this Bucks team is the talent across the board.
Yeah, they have the roster,
right? Like, where is the glaring hole on this roster? Who, you can look at running back, sure. Hindsight 2020, Leonard Fournette not getting it done, but like Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White on your offense,
running back's the least significant
with
position.
their receivers. There is no reason at all we should be talking about adding more offensive weapons at the deadline. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, it's interesting, but like I said, I don't think they're going to be either. One, they're not going to sell because that would signal like they've given up, right? I don't think they're going to do that. And then I don't think they're going to buy because like most of the time, and by the way, the NFL trade deadline's a joke. Like it's gotten better over the years, but like it's not like the NBA and the NHL and like the MLB trade deadlines. Like Juan Soto got traded at the last MLB trade deadline. Max Scherzer got traded at the one before that. Like those are two of the biggest names in baseball, and they got traded at the deadline. Robert Quinn might be the biggest name traded. As we have a $10 super chat from Matthew Diaz. Welcome back from the stadium. Let's fire Leftwich, please. Also cussed out a bunch of Ravens behind me. Not proud of myself, but it felt awesome. Well, that's the thing about, whenever you're not proud of yourself, but it feels awesome, you've done a good thing.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
my quote.
I think so. Matt, we appreciate you and your support. Matt was actually at the watch party last year. Didn't get to make the first one, but he said he will be out at the November 27th date. Awesome. So, if the Bucks are not 10 losses deep into the season by then, it should be a great time. November 27th at Berry House Beer Company.
You know what they always say. Cannon Fire Watch Party is a guaranteed W.
Stop it. All right. So I'm already superstitious enough. We're not going to get into the losing record we have, but
now let's get into what everybody wants to talk about.
One more bit of news though before we get to that. On the defensive side of the ball, Shaq Barrett, outside linebacker, started off pretty good tonight. Had 2 big tackle for loss. Had a sack. I mean, he was showing up on the stat sheet, and then he left the game. Was carted off with what appeared to be an ankle injury. But source comes out and says that he is feared to have suffered a torn Achilles based on the initial exam. So if that's the case, his year is done.
Yeah, Todd Bowles says Achilles injury. Said it doesn't look good.
More Anthony Nelson. Woo!
I mean, maybe more Carl Nassib though, man.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Carl Nassib is on my shit list tonight though, because he did miss a huge tackle. I mean, it made.
But the Ravens didn't score on that drive.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
Ravens didn't score on that drive, but he did miss a tackle. He did. That was
it turned a 2-yard loss into like an 18-yard gain.
Yeah, that was the drive they went for on 4th down. Which, by the way, fantastic play by Jamal Dean there.
Hey,
But
listen,
yeah,
I know we've talked about a lot of guys, and I'm not going to cut excuses here. I'm really just exclusively talking about the first half of the game, but I thought Zion McCollum really stepping up into a big role tonight. He had that big play against Mark Andrews to prevent the touchdown early in the game. I thought he stepped up. I know that later in the game we can sit here and talk about it, but the fact of the matter was the defense was gassed and they were feeling the effects of an offense that could score no points. I thought Zion McCollum was a guy who stepped up tonight, and he really needed to after last week.
they picked on him a little bit at times. They definitely picked on him a little bit, but I do think that um, he's been, he was fine. He made some nice plays. Um, but yeah, let's get into, because I don't want to jump completely over to the defense.
No, you're good. You're good. We got
Without
time.
talking, so let's get into what everybody seemingly wants to talk about. So there's 10 days here. The offense has sputtered big time, right? Will the Buccaneers, now there's a difference here. There's a difference between will the Buccaneers fire Byron Leftwich and should the Buccaneers fire Byron Leftwich?
Oh, well, I mean,
Those
absolutely.
are two very different things.
Absolutely. Every team with any sort of coaching staff turmoil is going to see themselves on both sides of that conversation. Will they? Should they?
Should they?
And 9 times out of 10, those answers are not going to be the same.
Should they? Yes. Will they? Not right now.
I listen.
Don't think they're going to do it.
Todd Bowles said that everything is on the table
eventually,
and they're going to take a look here
which is different than what he said last week. Last week he said no coaching changes, and this week he's saying everything's on the table.
He said everything is on the table. They're going to take a look at it over the long break. But I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know if you guys listen to many other Buccaneers podcasts, but I was listening to Scott Reynolds and Matt Matera on the Pewter Report podcast. I don't know if this is inside sources, but Scott Reynolds is a guy with more sources than you and I, and he literally said that Byron Leftwich was coaching for his job this week. I mean, that came out of his mouth. I'm letting you take that and interpret it however you like, but that leads me to believe that sooner rather than later, if this Bucs offense continues to sputter, and 4 weeks in a row of doing the same thing is going to have you looking at,
8
seriously, like it seriously all year it has been like this, aside from the Kansas City game, but that's like emergency offense that's, playing from behind, embracing the pass. And even then it wasn't enough to get it done. So yeah, all year they have been bad. And with that being said, I don't think he's going to last the rest of the year. I don't.
No, I don't think he's going to last, if I can speak, last the rest of the year. But I just don't know if they're going to make a change right now, because I look at it as they have 2 more opportunities and they have a bye week in there. So, but maybe Todd Bowles feels the heat a little bit, and we can get into this. Might be reactionary or whatever, but Todd Bowles should be on the hot seat. Like, I'm not saying
like one and done.
Yeah, like I'm not saying midseason. Like, the Glazers have never fired a head coach midseason. That's not going to happen. But he deserves the rest of the year. But like, you need to seriously reevaluate this guy at the day after the season, whether you make the playoffs or not. Real honestly, you need to seriously reevaluate. Now, honestly, if they make the playoffs, you might as well keep him, because to me it would be a tremendous turnaround. But like, if this season is going the way it's currently trending, you seriously need to reevaluate it, because I don't care what the optics are of a one and done. Like, it happens in the NFL. It happens look at Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens was with that Cleveland team with all that hype, and Odell and Baker Mayfield and Jarvis Landry and this and that. He was a one and done. Like, it happens. And I think Todd Bowles should not be an exception to that if it's warranted. So they need to look at everything, and I think that's including Todd Bowles. I think the first step is, and I think Todd might realize that, and that's why maybe Byron Leftwich doesn't survive the whole year. Like, maybe Todd's like, okay, like, I gotta do something. Like, I have to do something, or else it's freaking me, on the chopping block. But I just, yeah, I mean, it's calling cards the defense. How's the defense looked? Like, that defense tonight was lazy. And it's a shame, because their first quarter was pretty good. Like their first quarter was really good. They gave up 3 points on a turnover on special teams.
Yeah, 3
Like,
points in the first half after a turnover that puts Baltimore at the 5-yard
Yeah.
line. You know, we talk about spotting Kansas City points on that one Rashad White fumble, and they were out from farther away than that. You would think between Lamar Jackson, Kenyon Drake, Gus Edwards, everyone else, they had running all the hell over us. I had to stop myself from saying another F word there. $2 super chat from Trey Kimbley. Evan, turn your mic up, bro. Can barely hear you. Got to get closer.
hello?
Hold that thing in your hand. Get up on it like you like it.
Yeah.
So,
Here we go.
I gotta make sure.
My camera's off, but my mic's on. So
Oh,
I actually don't know what happened to my camera, but
that's all right. We'll figure it out. We love doing the live show. Man. So let me ask you this question. Welcome back. So let me ask you this question here.
you don't even know. You
No,
don't
I
even
do
So,
know. I do know what I want to ask. I'm just thinking of how I want to ask it. Because this is a loaded question, and we
real
are talking
quick,
about this
real
way,
quick.
way too early.
I wanna address a few things that I've been seeing in the chat.
Okay.
One, Sean Payton, not happening.
Oh yeah, no way. There's no
Even if-
universe where Sean
even
Payton
if-
comes to coach the Bucs.
Like he's always wanted to coach Brady. If Brady comes back, sure. The Saints still have his rights. He's still under contract with the Saints. You seriously think the New Orleans Saints are going to trade Sean Payton to the Buccaneers? Get the hell out of here. No way. We have a $2. Sorry, James. Didn't mean to slight you there, moneybags.
Old cheap ass.
This is Tom's last year. No way Leftwich stays. Okay. But anyways, so Sean Payton, that's the first thing. 2, I've seen some stuff about just demote Bowles to defensive coordinator and hire Bruce Arians back. That's not going to happen either. Like that has never happened in the history of the NFL. That the retired coach that comes back to replace his replacement, and that replacement stays on the staff and gets demoted. It's never happened in the NFL for a reason. So not gonna happen. But that's it. I just had to address those two things. That
So,
even if the Bucs wanted to hire Sean Payton and Sean Payton wanted to come to Tampa, the Saints would be like, okay, give me like what you gave the Raiders for Gruden. Like they would have to be bent over a barrel,
right,
for the Saints to give him to the Bucs.
Oh yeah, 100%. Let me ask a question, and I think the question is begged by the super chat from our buddy James Hill a little bit earlier, and this is what I wanted to ask you earlier. I think this is the way that I want to ask it. I know I'm asking this way too soon because nobody's going to know until the end of the season. Does Tom really go out like this? I know that he is looking at himself and he's probably kicking himself in the ass saying, I came out of retirement to be on a 3-5 football team with a head coach that has no idea what the hell he's doing. Like, I do agree with James that I don't think Leftwich lasts the rest of the season because this is potentially Tom's last season. And even with Tom Brady in a 3-5 record, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm sure that there are a lot of people on that coaching staff and in that front office who believe this team can still compete down the stretch. Because if they lose sole possession of the NFC South this week, they're still only, a game behind?
Well, they will lose sole possession no matter what happens.
They're still only a game behind?
They would be a game, yeah. No. If Atlanta wins, there'll be a game. If Carolina wins, they'll have the same record, but Carolina will own the head-to-head tiebreaker. That makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
Here's the thing. I don't know, but I also don't think Tom has any idea. Like, I don't think Tom has any idea. Like, I don't think Tom knows. So it's tough for me to speculate on whether it's going to be his last year. Do I think he could return for another year? Maybe not. We're not just talking to the Bucs. We're talking to the NFL, right? Because technically he's a free agent at the end of the year. Like, we're talking, is he going to be playing football again? I think there's more of a chance now than, say, if you asked me 4 months ago. If you would ask me like before training camp, I would have been like, no, that's it. But the way this season has gone, it could be tough for a guy like him to go out this way. The thing that would worry me, if you're looking at it from a Bucs perspective, he might say like, dude, why would I come back to Tampa? Why would I spend, especially if if Todd Bowles is still there, and like let's say he doesn't love the offensive coordinator hire, and like they don't really get like some of the pieces that he wants, or he's like, why would I come back to Tampa where I just had a miserable time? I mean, he looks miserable out there. Like his body, and it's not just him, it's the entire team. The entire team's body language looks miserable. But it's just he's like, why would I go back there? So while I think I still bet money it's the end of his career. I think this is last year, if I had to bet. But I think if he does come back, I think there's a serious consideration that maybe it's not in Tampa. And I do think it could be. I'm not closing the door on that, but maybe it's not.
Just hate to see him get Joe Montana. You know what I mean? Like Joe Montana going to Kansas City, and like that team fucking sucked. They beat San Francisco with Steve Young that one time, but like they weren't good. You know what I mean? And it tarnished his legacy. And I know that he's already won a Super Bowl in Tampa, so that discussion is neither here nor there. But it's like it does really bum you out. You know what I mean? Like it really is sad to watch this team in the state that they are.
Technically, the Bucs were Joe Montana's, like Tom Brady's, like Chiefs, basically.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But it's not
as
bad.
But like what I'm saying. Oh, I mean, he's won a Super Bowl. Like obviously.
Yeah. Clearly, I mean, it
but
worked.
Like Joe Montana also took the Chiefs to, I think, like the AFC Championship game. I don't know if it was in his first year, but he did it.
Yeah, but I mean, outside of that, I don't remember that team doing very much. Oh. Well, what else do you want to talk about from tonight? I know it's a little bit of a shorter show. Usually when we go on these tangents, it's so funny because our shortest podcast in the history of the podcast, as we approach 300 episodes, our shortest pods in history have been either when the team is on like such a good game to where it's like, oh, they were good at everything today, or it's just so bad we have no choice but to get on here and try not to have a mental breakdown.
Yeah, believe it or not, there's actually less to talk about in like a 31-3 win. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, defense is really good, offense is really good. All right, bye. You know, but and then like, especially when it's a losing streak now, it's 3 straight. Like, what else are we gonna say that hasn't already been said before? You know, and like the thing about it is, like, the Bucs played better tonight than they have against the Panthers and against the Steelers. They played better tonight. I think the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender. Like, I really do. I was high on them before the season started. They played better tonight, but it was against a better opponent, which is why those games against the Panthers and Steelers mattered so much, and you just threw those opportunities away.
David Cardona, the moderator, holding it down, says, I haven't been this pissed since Evan lost King of the Wing in 2020. I lost so much money on that bet.
You weren't the only one. Wow, I can name you one person in this country that was more pissed than you. Actually, my family was probably happy.
Your family bet against you. They all picked me to win. It was like a clean sweep. It was
unbelievable.
That's pretty good, man. Shout out to everybody in the live chat, by the way. Yeti RC, Common Sensei, Mr. Bucks Nation, the moderator with the super chat, holding it down. Dark Angel, Wes Ramirez, Brandon Michael, who is hanging out with me in the Mr. Bucks Nation stream. MK, Michael Kelly, Cyclops is better than Wolverine. NE, TB12 Goatman, who does not seem pleased. And to be honest, we have been blessed with his presence these past couple of years, but he thinks Brady is a 49er next year. No way he comes back to the Bucks, he says.
Yeah, I mean, I think Miami's not the spot. Tua, I think they've been winning too much with Tua, I think, too.
They're making that work, and I think they can make that work for another year.
Yeah. But like I could see San Francisco. I mean, it would mean they'd be dumping Lance. And to me, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Right now, I don't think Tom Brady has any idea. I don't think anybody has any idea.
Yeah, I don't think
there's a lot that can happen between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, we can never sit here and predict what Tom is thinking, but I guarantee you he's not sitting in that locker room or driving home right now thinking about, man, I wonder if I'm going to be in San Francisco next year. This is going to hurt for everybody in that locker room because the fact of the matter is guys like Mike Evans, guys like Chris Godwin, Levante David, Will Golston, all of your longer tenured players, they have been here for loser Bucks ball, but not a lot of other guys in that locker room. Yeah, right. Welcome back. Reality check, folks. We are not out of the woods just yet. So it's going to be an adjustment for a lot of those guys, and it's going to take the wind out of their sails. And how are they going to respond? I don't know. The last 3 weeks, they've been getting their fucking ass beat. But, I mean, I guess at some point they have to turn it on, right?
You would think.
You would think.
One would think. One would think. But
It's crazy too how
you
like
know,
defensively, this is some of the worst Bucks football in the history of the franchise, and we're doing it with Tom Brady.
well, I
Like
mean, especially like rushing wise, like rushing offense.
rushing offense is the
It's
worst in
the
NFL history.
it's the worst. Like statistically, it's the worst in NFL history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least one silver lining for me, um, is I said the Ravens were gonna run all over the Bucks. That's what I said. So that was my prediction.
Good on you. Because they certainly did that. And it's crazy how much ground they were able to make up. I cannot stress enough how perfect that second half game plan went for them. I mean,
That's the type of ball they play. Like I don't know what they were doing in the first half. It was like they were toying with Tampa in the first half.
yeah, it was very weird. I guess it was just a fluke. Like, I guess that
Oh, yeah.
defensive performance, you know what I mean? Like, we talk about how they only held Baltimore to 3 in the first half, but yeah, they came out predominantly throwing the football. I don't have the stat sheet in front of me, but I know it was like less than 5 entire carries in that first half for Baltimore, which is not at all what they are known for. Maybe they just wanted to try and, you have a better chance of absolutely gassing this defense in the second half when they've already played 30 minutes. So maybe that's the thought process. But, I kind of thought coming into this one, they would still want to attack the middle of the field. You want to attack the linebackers because that second level, especially against the run, that's been a huge weakness for Tampa Bay. So, like, I kind of saw what they were doing. But, yeah, I mean, once they stuck to their guns and they stuck with what worked, it could not have worked any better.
Yeah, I mean, we just gotta try and power through. And according to Leonard Fournette, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. So,
yeah, that was a great quote, great timing.
But it's yeah, it sucks right now, and just gotta hope that they can make the adjustments to turn it around. We'll see if they make any coaching changes. We'll see if they make any changes at all. Obviously, the next time they play will be after the trade deadline. So the trade deadline is November 1st. So we'll see if anything happens there. And yeah, just gonna have to wait and see, because right now, the performance on the field, whether the past 2 seasons happen or not, the performance on the field right now is unacceptable anyway. So
KHY001 with a great stat check here. Thanks for checking in the chat. Says Lamar Jackson threw the ball 32 times in the first half, only 5 in the second.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that doesn't tell you how things went on offense for Baltimore, I don't know what else does. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to say thank you to each and every person who jumped in the live stream tonight. It was not a very fun podcast, but of course we get to react live to the game and let off some steam. That's what we try to do. We try to keep things transparent, and we're going to speak what's on our mind. That's what we've always done. We've been doing it since all the way back in 2016, and I promise you folks, we are going to be here after the Tom Brady era. We're going to see this thing through. It's not fun right now, but it's been a hell of a lot less fun before. So if you're one of the OGs, David Cardona, I don't know if you're still in here, but I know for a fact he was saying earlier, he said, man, I haven't heard Rhett cuss like this on a podcast since like 2018, back when the Bucks were, 4-10. So we'll get through it, guys. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Thank you so much for watching the show. Subscribe if you have not already. More great Buccaneers content on the way throughout the rest of the season. Follow the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Best place to go for updates on the show. And, of course, Tampa Bay Buccaneer news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can follow my co-host Evan on Instagram at Bucs_daily. You can also find him on Twitter at EvanNFL and check out his written work at BucsNation.com. Evan, I got to be honest with you. I didn't say anything about it because I wanted to get through the show, and I didn't want this to be awkward or anything. But I think the people have a right to know. Your behavior before the podcast. Folks, we got on here and Evan was having a fit. You should have seen him. People said he's taking this loss surprisingly well, but he wasn't when he first jumped on the call here. Throwing tablets, breaking cell phones, almost broke your fancy microphone. You broke your webcam during the show.
That's the whole deal.
Listen, buddy, so
people said my mic was low. It's because I actually damaged it a little bit.
Yeah, so buddy, I have no choice. We're probably gonna have to suspend you for a little while.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, if you have no choice, I guess there will be no appeal from my camp. That's what I'll say.
Well, I appreciate you accepting your suspension. With that being said, I guess we're gonna have to find a couple of co-hosts moving forward for the next few shows as Coach Wanish serves his suspension. Any final words from you before we don't hear from you again for a little while?
Yeah, check out my written work on bugsnation.com. I have the prediction reviews coming out soon. And then I think this weekend I might have something written up talking about Jason Light a little bit, because I don't think many people have talked about him and what he has done to sort of maybe help or hurt this season. So gonna be having some good content coming out over there. And look, it's gonna be a little bit before I talk to you guys, and just because I don't know. Rhett hasn't given me a timetable, and it's just my behavior. It could be, I don't know. I broke 2 tablets. It may have to be 2 games. Who knows? But yeah, you just gotta try and get through it. It's hopefully the Rams are not the Rams of old. Obviously, I know the Bucks are not the Bucks of old, but um, it's a winnable game, but the scheme wise, we'll see. We'll see. But the Bucks are facing must wins pretty much every week now. So yeah, hopefully they can turn it around, and we'll see if there's any coaching changes or roster changes coming their way soon.
And of course, we'll keep you guys updated throughout the rest of the week with any Buccaneer news, roster changes, firings, anything like that. Right here, youtube.com/Cannon Fire Podcast. As we wrap up, those wings are catching up to me a little bit earlier. As we wrap up the show, you can follow myself on social media at Rhettakus, RHETTAKUS, Instagram and Twitter. If you follow me, I will follow you back. Shout out once again to everybody in the chat. G Vegas, the moderator, holding it down. MK, Michael Kelly, Brandon Michael, Yeti RC, John Smith, Willie Beeman, the other moderator. Chakia Rawls, I think I said that correctly. Dark Angel, Mr. Bucks Nation checking in, TV12 Goatman. We truly do appreciate your guys' support. We'll talk to you in the next one. Next time you hear from us.
Oh, by the way, go Phillies. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, great. At least you got a baseball team to look forward to.
Next time I talk to you guys, that'll be decided. So
all right, I'm gonna mute your ass. You're gonna be suspended for real. We're gonna turn it.
Phil's in 6, guys.
We're gonna turn this work into a shoot real fast.
What are you? What are you, an Astros fan?
No.
You like cheaters? Like, come
on. No. It's not that. I'm just bummed that the one team I really care about every single year is playing like garbage right now.
I know.
You know how much Buck season means to me, and
it means to a lot of people for sure.
Chakia Rawls in chat says, win, lose, or draw, I love the Buccaneers on and off the field. They will get it together. Uncross you nuts. That's perfect. Hopefully
that's the way to end.
Yeah,
that's the way to end.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect note to send this thing out on. Hopefully the Bucks can uncross their nuts headed on throughout the rest of the season. Evan, we will hear from you eventually. Going to be missing some time, but we are going to miss you. Next time you hear from us, we're going to be joined by former Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Sean King. That should drop within the next coming days. Maybe Saturday. I don't know about tomorrow. I'll give you guys a little bit of a break. We'll try and get something out this weekend for sure. Maybe a little bit of James Hill sneaking in here every now and again, too. I know. Just the worst. Thank you guys so much for checking us out this week. We truly do appreciate you. I'm your host, Rhett Matthew, signing off for my co-host, Evan Wanish. We'll talk to you in the next one. Until then, and as always, thanks for listening, and go Bucks.